Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is my review for Love and Hip Hop New York Season 10, Episode 9. If you did not catch my reviews for Episodes 1 through 8, please go check those out, and I will leave the link to my review for Episode 8 in the description box. So did any of you guys get annoyed at Sin and Jonathan at Erica's party the way that I did? Because I got really annoyed by the two of them. What happened was Tahiry ended up showing up to Erica's party. Now, she was trying to have a good time, but in the back of her mind, she was stressed out thinking about how she has to get a mammogram and how she needs to go see a breast specialist because she could potentially have breast cancer. And obviously, that's something very serious. And so obviously, that's going to be stuck in the back of her mind the entire time that she's at this party. Now, Tahiry ends up going up to Sin and Jonathan when they show up, and she tries to clear the air between her and Sin. She tells Sin that she doesn't have a problem with her and that the whole Joe thing turned into something bigger than what it was supposed to be, which it did. Jonathan definitely blew it up into something bigger than what it needed to be. And the fact that Tahiry was trying to talk about it and clear the air in person while they were all in front of each other was something that I felt like Sin and Jonathan should have been receptive to. And instead, they tried to make it seem like they were confused as to what Tahiry was talking about. And they know damn well what Tahiry was talking about because they had literally just talked about it the previous night before Erica's party. They had sat down at Sin's house and talked about it. So I was annoyed at them, and Tahiry was stressed out about her whole breast cancer scare, but I felt like she was really annoyed because they were trying to paint her as she was crazy, like they didn't know what she was talking about. And so she ends up storming out of the party and she calls Jonathan stupid. Now, in that sense, he was acting stupid, I'm not gonna lie, because although she was spazzing out a little bit more than what she normally would, which is what Erica said was because of the whole breast cancer scare, but it was also because they were trying to paint her as she was crazy and she was just trying to, stir up some type of drama. And so she ended up leaving the party. Now, Erica goes up to Sin and Jonathan and she tells them that, she feels like it's partially her fault that all this drama was going on, even though it wasn't her intentions. When she tried to get Joe and Tahiry together, she just felt like they still had chemistry, and so she thought it would be good for the two of them to get back together again. Now, I don't believe Erica. I feel like she was definitely trying to get Tahiry and Joe together out of spite of Sin, but at the same time, I feel like Sin and Jonathan should have talked to Tahiry when she was trying to have the conversation. Just the fact that the two of them tried to make it seem like they were confused as to what she was talking about was annoying to me. And then they go and they tell Erica that if Tahiry wanted to have a conversation, she should have handled it better. But the thing about it is that when she was bringing it up to the two of you, you guys acted like you guys didn't know what she was talking about, even though you guys did. So how did you think it was going to end up turning out? Now, Erica is determined to find out what's actually wrong with Tahiry because she knows that Tahiry wouldn't have behaved that way if there wasn't something seriously wrong. So Chrissy and Olivia end up meeting up. Now, Olivia was on past seasons of Love and Hip Hop New York, but she's been gone for a few years, and so had Chrissy. And so the two of them had ended up falling out with each other because Chrissy and Yandy ended up having some type of issue that they had with each other. And, Olivia was cool with both of them, and she felt like she was stuck in the middle. Now, when she was asked during an interview with Mona Scott who she thought was wrong in the situation between Chrissy and Yandy, she said that she believed Chrissy was wrong. And so Chrissy let Olivia know right away during this meetup that she was mad at her for quite some time. Now, the two of them ended up squashing that, which I think is great because I honestly don't believe that you should keep resentment from the past stuck with you in the future and in your present time, because it only causes more drama. And I just feel like you either choose to be stuck in the past or you choose to move forward. Now, Olivia says that she's been acting and making music, but that she had stopped making music for a while because her mom had passed away and she was just trying to cope with it, which that's really what happens when you lose somebody like a parent. You never really get over it. You just learn to cope with the death, which is what Chrissy and Olivia had talked about. Now, Olivia brings up Fresher and how he said that he wants to do a record with her. Now, she said that she decided that she was going to do the record with him because she had saw that he had really good features before in the past. He had worked with Jim, he worked with Remi and Papoose, and he also worked with Cardi, and so she felt like it was a good idea to work with him. Now, when Rich's name ends up coming up, because obviously we know that Olivia and Rich were really close at one point, he was managing her at one point in time, and she said that the two of them have fell out because she found out from one of Rich's friends that he was doing shiesty shit behind her back. She said that he was taking the money for himself and giving none to her, so that she's completely done with him. And, Rich does have a bad reputation of being messy and also mixing business with pleasure. So I'm interested to see what happens when Rich finds out that Olivia is back in town and that she's going to be working with Fresher. And I'm interested to see how Janaski reacts when she finds out the allegations against Rich. Yandy has been a very busy woman. Not only has she been taking care of all their children, plus the child that she took in as a foster child, and on top of that, she's been doing prison reform work, trying to make money for her family, and on top of that, she's dealing with trying to get things set up for when Mendices gets out of prison. Now, she ends up getting a phone call from Mendices, and she lets him know how stressed out she is, that she was struggling to find somebody who could babysit the kids because she had an event that she had to go to, and she was actually late going to it. Now, she doesn't know when he's getting out, and he said that his paperwork is taking too long to process. Now, he let her know that the prison that has to process his paperwork is the one that Yandy was protesting at, where she ended up getting maced in the face. And so now she feels guilty because she feels like they're going to probably, penalize Mendices because of the fact that she was protesting outside of that prison. And I don't feel like she should feel guilty about that, because she really is trying to do prison reform work, and that's something that's really important, that and more awareness needs to be brought to. And I think she's doing a really great thing, but I feel like she's piling up a lot on her plate. Hopefully they let Mendices out soon, because the fact that they're playing the runaround with when this man gets released from prison is wrong, because he has a whole family that, is getting excited because they think he's getting out one minute, and then the next minute he doesn't even know when he's getting out. So it's really confusing, and hopefully everything works out between the two of them. So Remi and Papoose end up meeting with Titi. Now, Titi is from Remi's management team, and the reason why Papoose brought her there is so that Titi could try to counsel Remi with him and try to get her spirits back up, because she's really stressed out and she's down at this point. Not only is she trying to balance being a new mom, and on top of that, balancing her career, trying to get her album done, which Fat Joe already put the pressure on for her to get that album done. But on top of that, Papoose is trying to work on his music, so she has to try to balance that as well. And now she's possibly being charged with a misdemeanor, because Brittany Taylor is alleging that Remi punched her in the face at a cancer event. And although Remi is saying that she didn't actually do it, she feels like there's a big chance she could actually be charged with it. Now, she doesn't want to deal with the whole court thing anymore. She doesn't want to deal with the law anymore. She's already been in prison for, I think, maybe 6 years, she said she was in there for, and she just recently got off of probation, so she doesn't want to deal with this whole situation. And so it doesn't end up working with them trying to lift her spirits up at this point in time. Now, we do know that since this has been filmed, the case, I think, was dropped. So I just want to see how they ended up coming to that conclusion. So we'll see what ends up happening the remainder of the season. Now, Yandy ends up meeting up with Jamila. Now, Jamila is someone who's been working with Yandy about the whole prison reform thing. I think they said that Jamila was actually locked up before, too. I think she may be on probation or something. So she knows firsthand what goes on in these prisons. And we all know there are some very harsh conditions that happen in these prisons. Now, they see footage of harsh conditions in a prison in Mississippi, where there's like rats running across the food trays and everything like that. And it was just disgusting to her, that she felt like it's hard for nobody to go speak up on it, especially if you have a big enough platform to bring awareness to it. Now, Jamila asked Yandy to come down to Mississippi with her to go protest about it, but she says that she got the date for when Mendices gets out, and so she doesn't know if she actually thinks it's a good idea to go do it. She's nervous that because her prison reform activism, they'll end up taking it out on Mendices, and she doesn't want that to happen, because one of the prisons that she had protested at is actually the one that is going to be processing Mendices' papers, and they're also taking too long to process his papers, and she thinks that it's because she was protesting outside of that prison. Now, she fears that if she goes to Mississippi and protests, that she'll end up getting arrested, and then Mendices won't have a home to come home to. And it's sad that she has to deal with all this stress, because she really is doing something that's important. And whether you like Yandy or not, you do have to acknowledge the work that she is putting in, and the fact that it is beneficial work that she's doing. Now, she agrees to go to Mississippi, and hopefully everything works out when she goes down there. Hopefully they're heard, and hopefully some type of solution is come to, and hopefully she doesn't end up getting arrested, because she does want to make sure that, everything's set up for when Mendices comes home from prison. So basically, Olivia decided to do a record with Fresher, and he ends up showing up to see Olivia practice performing. Now, he brings the mess to this whole performance, because he tells her, even though he's trying to say that he's not trying to work with her to get back at Rich, I believe that that's exactly why he's trying to work with Olivia. He knows that Rich and Olivia were cool at one point, and they were working together, and he knows that they fell out, and he knows exactly why they ended up falling out. And so he's trying to get back at Rich by working with Olivia, because he feels like Rich stole Janaski from him. Now, I don't necessarily feel like Rich stole Janaski from him, because they were never actually in a management client type of situation together anyway. Rich ended up proving himself as a manager, and, Fresher has a lot going on in his personal life where he couldn't even commit to being her manager. So I don't think Rich stole her, although I think this whole situation is going to get ugly, and I do believe that Janaski made the wrong choice in choosing Rich as a manager. I honestly believe she shouldn't have chose Rich or Fresher, because neither one of them have a good reputation. Now, I'm interested to see if, Fresher ends up screwing over Olivia like he allegedly did to this girl Jada, because he still has that whole situation hanging over his head too. So I'm interested to see what happens with this really messy situation. So Erica is desperate to find out why Tahiry actually flipped out at her party, and so she invites Tahiry over to her house to find out. Now Tahiry ends up showing up, and Tahiry apologizes to Erica for acting out at her party. Obviously, that Tahiry acted out of character because she usually doesn't flip out like that. And Erica knew in her heart that Tahiry wasn't actually flipping out about the whole Joe, Sin, Jonathan situation, because nothing even happened between her and Joe. They dated before. It was a really toxic relationship. She turned down his proposal. He moved on. He ended up having a child with Sin and proposed to her. He cheated on Sin. They broke up. And now Jonathan blew the situation up into something bigger than what it actually was. He needs to learn how to mind his business. And I feel like Sin needs to tell him that he needs to learn how to stay out of her private life, because although he was trying to be a friend, sometimes you get too deep in somebody's personal life and you cause more drama than you even meant to cause in the first place. And I honestly think that Tahiry should not address the situation with Sin and Jonathan anymore. Let them come to her when they want to talk about it, because she tried to talk about it at Erica's party and they made it seem like they were confused as to what she was even talking about. And I peeped that when I watched that scene. I don't know if anybody else did. Now Tahiry lets Erica know that the reason why she flipped out is because she's stressed out about the mammogram she has to get done, because she potentially could have breast cancer and she has to go see a breast specialist. She breaks down crying in Erica's arms because it is very scary to get that type of diagnosis, and it's scary for the wait. The wait to find out is what really stresses us out, gets our anxiety up really, really high. And so I hope that she doesn't have anything wrong with her, and this is why we have to make sure that we get checked, especially as women. We have to get checked, even though we get scared to go get checked out because we don't want to hear bad news. If you don't go get checked out, you won't even know in order to catch things on time. So I'm interested to see what happens when Erica and her end up going to her appointment, because Erica told her that she was going to go with her. So basically, Remi and Papoose go to meet with their lawyer, and the lawyer says that the prosecutor wants Remi to plead to something. Now, Remi doesn't want to plead to anything, okay? She's been through this whole process before. She does not want to plead to anything. The lawyer says that if they end up losing the trial, if the case ends up going to trial, that she could end up getting up to a year in prison. Now, Remi says that she could do a year, but Papoose was like, absolutely not, which I can understand. He's like, no. He's already lost her for 6 years at one point when she got locked up the first time. He doesn't want her in for even a second anymore. You know what I'm saying? And so Remi doesn't want parole. She doesn't want probation. She just wants it all to be over. And it's sad that she has to go through this situation again with a whole completely different situation after she just got off probation and put the whole situation behind her. Now another case is coming up and now she could potentially go back to jail again. That's a shame that that's happening to her. She just wants to focus on her music, and she's also very nervous because she feels like judges are harder on celebrities, so it doesn't seem like they have special treatment. I don't agree with her on that, because there's a lot of celebrities who get out of situations that a normal person can't get out of because the celebrity has the money to get themselves out of certain situations. So I don't fully agree with her on that comment right there. So Yandy ends up going to Mississippi on her own without Jamila because Jamila's on parole and she needed permission, and permission was not granted for her to go. Now, Yandy wants prisoners to have their basic rights, which they should have, and she feels like they live in horrible living conditions and she wants that to change. Now, she wants to use her platform to create some type of change, and she knows that she has a big enough platform to do so because she has a huge following on social media, and she also has this TV show where she's able to bring awareness to prison reform. So they didn't get the outcome that they wanted when they went to Mississippi, but at least she's out here doing something, and you definitely have to give props where props is due. So Erica and Tahiry go to Tahiry's appointment to get her mammogram, and you can feel Tahiry's nerves through the friggin' screen. I don't know about you guys, but I could feel it through the screen. I was nervous for her watching this episode. Now, she goes to get her mammogram. Obviously, it's painful to her because she's staying out, And then after they give her the mammogram, they tell her that she has to wait. Now, waiting is the most nerve-wracking friggin' part because you're waiting to get results, especially results as serious as these ones. Now, they come back and they tell her that she needs to get a biopsy. That makes her even more scared. So they give her the friggin' biopsy and they tell her she has to wait 20 minutes. 20 minutes is a long time when you're waiting for friggin' results this serious. So she's really scared. She's crying in the room with Erica. And, you know, it's... It was just a nerve-wracking scene to watch, but when the doctor came in, the doctor told Tahiry that everything was good and that it was just a benign cyst that she had, but that she has to come back in 6 months to get it checked again. So it's good that everything ended up working out for Tahiry, but it was definitely a scary part of the episode. So in this final scene of the episode, Olivia is in the studio with Fresher working on their track together. And I honestly don't think it's going to work out between Fresher and Olivia working together because of the fact that Fresher is a bit too messy and full of drama for her liking. Now, Fresher ends up telling Rich to come to the studio without telling Olivia that he was coming. And when Rich ends up getting there, Olivia looks like she feels some type of way about it because she knows Fresher did that shit on purpose to be messy. Now, Rich did say that Fresher got him back, okay? That Fresher got him back with the whole working with Olivia thing because of the fact that he stole Janaski from him. Now, Olivia really cuts to the chase immediately and lets him know that she wants to know what the problem is between the two of them and that she found out from one of Rich's friends that he was stealing from her. Now, Rich immediately named Cisco as the person who told Olivia that because he already knows that it was him who did it. Now, the money from 2 tracks that she did with Rich, she didn't see any of the money from. He took it all for himself, and she doesn't like that because she feels like he was supposed to only take a portion of the money and give the rest to her. Now, he says that the song was his and he owned it, so he's the one who's supposed to pocket all the money from it. Because Olivia didn't like that he said that, she flipped out on his ass and she ends up storming up out the studio. And I honestly think because of that, she's not going to want to work with Fresher anymore because she feels like her and Rich should have spoken on their own terms and not because Fresher was trying to be messy. And the episode cut there. So I thought this was a pretty good episode. I honestly want to know what's going to happen between Olivia and Fresher in the next episode, if she's going to even still want to work with him after all this. I also want to know what Janaski's going to think about Rich after she finds out the allegations against him about him stealing money from Olivia. So let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button for me. I appreciate it. Thanks to all my subscribers for the support and to all my new subscribers as well, because I am trying to reach my goal and I am getting closer and closer to reaching that goal every single day. So thank you all so very much, and until next time, I will see you in my next video.